Other countries, would a Mayor Mamdani welcome Benjamin Netanyahu to the city?
No. As mayor, New York City would arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. This is a city that our values are in line with international law. It's time that our actions are also.
Even though the US is not a signatory to the ICC?
No, it's time that we actually step up and make clear what we are willing to do to showcase the leadership that is sorely missing in the federal administration.
When you use words referring to the only Jewish state in the world, like genocide and apartheid, when you call for divestment and all, that is inciting these mobs. And he says shared sense of humanity and all these nice sounding words, but he has a double standard, because if you search his Twitter feed, 15,000 tweets, Sudan, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia don't appear, yet the word Israel appears more than 50 times, the word genocide appears more than 26 times, so that tells you where his heart is.
Okay. Briefly, yes.
I am being smeared for echoing the same words as Israeli historians Amos Goldberg and Daniel Blattman. I am being mischaracterized on the stage for echoing the same words of a former Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, who said recently, "What we are doing in Gaza is a war of devastation. It is indiscriminate, limitless, cruel, and criminal killing of civilians." I say these things because far too often we take what can be a place of disagreement and instead start to broach beyond that. And these kinds of characterizations, they are part and parcel of what leads to the dehumanization in our city, which is why an elected official in our own city has called for me to be deported. It cannot be disentangled from what's going on right now.
Okay. Thank you, candidate.
Thank you. The more you want to accomplish, the less you should speak about Palestine. And for me, what made it central to my identity is that it is a glaring contradiction. This is Astoria. Astoria has been home to immigrant communities across the world for decades. The biryani and some eggplant. When you're a South Asian Muslim growing up in New York City, there aren't so many places where you can feel at home. And this is one of those avenues where, for me and for so many others, you can be yourself. This is how we defeat the occupation. Style.
So the third holy grail of taboos in American politics, you have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Tell me, why is Palestine a part of your politics?
When you grow up as someone, especially in the third world, you have a very different understanding of the Palestinian struggle. It is one that is framed in terms of empathy and solidarity. Specifically growing up in South Africa post-apartheid, you know, it felt as if one of the most natural things to wear around my body was a keffiyeh. And so then to get here and see all of a sudden this topic was not only one that was discussed very differently, but was entirely taboo, it was a shock to my system. And for me, what made it central to my identity is that it is a glaring contradiction. We say we care about freedom and justice and self-determination, and yet for some reason we draw a line when it comes to Palestinians that accept them. I'd see in this country time and again politicians that I would admire and who would inspire me, but who would be described as progressives except Palestine, PEP. And it became a driving force for me that we need to have a sense of consistency here. We need to have an understanding that our solidarity must be extended to the Palestinians. It shouldn't just incidentally include them, it must foreground them, because they are a people who have been there are people who have been fighting for survival for decades. Their survival has been put in jeopardy by the actions of this country for an equally long period of time. And it is our responsibility as Americans to ensure that we end those days of complicity. So there's no point to any of this if it is not to finally end that contradiction.
We stand on the verge of a victory that will resonate across the country and the world. Make no mistake, this victory will be historic, not just because of who I am, a Muslim immigrant and a proud democratic socialist, but for what we will do. Make this city affordable for everyone. Because after this rally, as many of us sleep, millions of our neighbors will step out onto moonlit streets across our city. Nurses working the night shift will put on their scrubs and save lives. Office buildings will be made new again as the midnight shift scrubs and polishes in the dark. And even more, New Yorkers will spend the entire night tirelessly working and return home carrying the burden that it still isn't enough. If New York truly is the city that never sleeps, we deserve a mayor who fights for those of us who labor at every single hour of the day. I will be that mayor. And I will be a mayor who doesn't bow down to corporate interest, doesn't take his orders from billionaires, and sure as hell doesn't let ICE steal our neighbors from their homes. There are no kings in America, whether that's Donald Trump, Andrew Cuomo, or the Republican billionaires who fund both of their campaigns. Because this is a campaign that is going to win on June 24th. And it's thanks to each and every one of you. On election night, after the polls have closed and the results have come in, we will go home. And as we close our eyes, the days of countless others will only be beginning. Doors in Jackson Heights and Parkchester and Bay Ridge and Soundview will open at midnight. New Yorkers will leave their homes and commute under streetlights to work, where they'll drive buses and mop floors and bake bread. For some, this will feel like any other night. But for so many more, it will feel like the dawn of a new day. Because we, my friends, are going to win the city we deserve. And it's going to be one we can afford. One where we can dream again. And for that, I must say, thank you.